40 foot. You
We
believe
ready for
this?
the road? Yes. I
We're
saw that
ready
you
for
have
the road.
I saw you have a pot cover. I remember at school we had this thing called pan. Like round proper like round sports time where we would bring to school the pots and the pot spoons and beat them up because drums were banned. So it reminds me of that.
Oh yeah, I remember when drums were banned. Well, we're supposed to have some drums tomorrow on the road, and we're yes, and some trumpeters. When I tell you that the noise, when listen, we gonna wake up every MP that's sleeping. That noise, the prime minister, she going to toss and turn in her bed between 10 to 1 or wherever she is. The noise going to reach all the way in parliament. And when we get to parliament, we stop in there. You
We
understand
have to.
the thing? It's we gonna make noise. We gonna make noise tomorrow. I tell you, this is gonna be it's gonna be an awesome march, and we're inviting everybody to come down. You know, we normally have water for everybody,
Yes.
and we used to get it donated. We have not gotten it donated the last two marches, so that's something that we purchased today.
Mhm.
Again, you know, any help that we can get, we will have to get the ice tomorrow, so we purchased the water today, and we're going to so we have actually 4 cases of water
Mhm.
that we have tomorrow, and we're going to then purchase the ice, so that people can have cold water because it's going to be hot. And we don't sell the water, we donate, we give the water to those who are on the march, as you know. And
Yes.
because we do this as a family, you know, very important. But I have some great news before you even start. You were listening to that young man. Tell me, you listened to the voice note. Tell me how it
I was
impacted you.
listening to the show. When I heard the voice note, I you can hear the pain in his voice. You could hear that he was trying every single thing he can possibly do. He reached out to his representative multiple times. He even expressed how he's still working, but he needs some additional assistance. And we're seeing that every single day. People who are working, who the paycheck is not covering the actual expenses of the day to day. And the fact that he said when he has extra money, he puts it forward on his rent so he can make sure he has some place to stay. You can tell that he has his head on. And when he started to speak about not being able to help his mother, who is a pensioner, I could even feel more pain in his voice, and he really needed assistance. I know this isn't a job, but I figured that if you had to utilize money to pay to rent a weed whacker, it would greatly assist him if he didn't have to use funds to do that. So with that, I told myself, well, I'm doing it in my community, so I can definitely lend a hand to him. So what I told Marcia is that I messaged Marcia while she was still on the show, and I told her, Marcia, let him know that I will donate a weed whacker to him. So that's a
Oh
cost he
my
can just write off of
goodness.
his mind, so he can sleep more peacefully tonight, knowing that that is something he doesn't need to worry about. We will get it sorted tomorrow. When we
Wow.
say that we give people jobs and opportunities, sometimes we forget that they need the tools to do
Now,
the work.
let this register. And this is the power of this show. This is the power of the show. Dawn Marie, thank God for her. Dawn Marie, why am I forgetting her last name?
Armstrong.
Armstrong, Dr. Dawn Marie Armstrong. She sent me the voice note because this young man who was suicidal heard her on the radio, he said. And I don't know if he meant on YouTube or the radio, but he said he heard her on the radio. And he was asking, he said, I have to talk to somebody. I need help. And he was suicidal. And she said, she just wrote me. She said, Marcia, please help him. That's what she wrote. Marcia, and she wrote, please help him. And that was it. And I could feel the plea even before I read what he was saying, what I listened to what he was saying. And we were able to, whatever funds we had there, putting them for the for to cover some of the march. Here it is, we went and we got him some things in terms of meals and so on, for meals, and then he said on the program, on the voice note, that when he works at NCC, like in cutting the grass and doing, he has to rent equipment in order to do the work for the NCC. And you heard that, Shaquani, and you are now donating him a whole weed whacker. Not half a weed whacker, no, not an old one. This is a new brand weed whacker he's going to have for
Yes, it's
himself.
gonna come in the box and everything. Yes. I realized that even though the government created this program where they gave people opportunity to landscape, what they didn't do was give them the tools to do it. So a lot of them are renting, and that is costly. And he explained what the cost is and what they pay. For persons who may not know, to rent a weed whacker is like $35 to $45 per rental, and that is like for a day. And you still have to get diesel or gas depending on what it is. Sometimes it comes with the rental. So imagine if he has to do that 5 days a week, that's $35 per day. He may be able to get a discount if he rents it frequently. But if he can remove that cost from his paycheck, which he explained how it's broken down already, that can go to additional supplies for him.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
So even though this initiative that they created may have been a good idea, it still needs some working theory.
Mm-hmm.
He figured
Mm-hmm.
if he owned his own weed whacker, he can possibly cut some grass for persons in the neighborhood. Or I know people
Mm-hmm.
here on the lawyer opposition show. Some people may be looking for somebody to do some landscaping, but no, because he has his own tools, he can go when he gets in from work. He can do it on the weekend, and that is some additional income he can get. When
Well,
I,
can I just say something
yeah, of
about
course,
Shaquani Hunt? Because I have my hand here and I'm listening to her. Don't you listen? First of all, you see the caliber of young people that come on this show. You just heard Don. You heard Don and what Don is doing.
yes,
These are
I heard.
young professional Barbadians. Look at what they're doing. And this woman here, Shaquani, if I have something and I'm like trying to figure it out, like how do I get this done, whatever. This girl Shaquani, I'm gonna talk about your business, Shaquani.
Go ahead.
Shaquani finds the answers to everything. That's how I see it. If I'm here and I'm trying to find a number for somebody or whatever, I said, Shaquani, can I this? Shaquani, if anytime I have something I'm trying to figure out, Shaquani knows how to get it done. And I think that's a fantastic quality. And what you're here, how you have broken this thing down of how this young man can use this weed whacker, and those of you who need your yard cut, etc., can so he can, this is now him. He has his own little business, because someone is saying, how can the government employ them? And they are have to rent their own equipment. Remember, Caswell Franklin told us on the show. What did he tell us? That they now employ them as contract workers, Shakwani.
Yes. Yes. And they haven't really explained to the public what that means. So it just seemed that you have a regular job, but what that means is that they don't take out NIS out of your money. So you're basically your own boss. So when you think about it, even though they're saying they want more people to contribute, they've actually pulled themselves from that segment where they're not really hiring people in that capacity. A lot of their workers working in government now, they're trying to get them on contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, there's not a lot of benefits. He may not be able to get a loan. So because it doesn't come over as you are employed, you're working for yourself. And a lot of persons on the show may know, as a self-employed person, how difficult it is to get a loan, open a
Mm-hmm.
bank account, do anything in this atmosphere in Barbados. You have to carry almost your whole life to the bank if you want to get something small. So a person living paycheck to paycheck, and he said he was being paid bi-weekly, will not really have the funds to save up for something like this due to the fact that they're budgeting tightly. They have to make sure to have the funds to cover the next week's work. Without having that money, they still have to pay bus fare. And I heard he said he lived in St. Philip. That is $3.50 just to get from St. Philip. He has to get back home. He never said where work is, and knowing how these contracts work, you may be going to different locations. Sometimes they may
Mm-hmm.
get rates, sometimes they may have to bus it on their own. So that means you have to leave back bus fare to get to work. So when
Mm-hmm.
you break down his paycheck, he really doesn't have any money to spare. There's no room or wiggle room to do anything additional, because to get the paycheck to pay for rent, He needs to leave money to rent the weed whacker. And to do that, he needs the money, which is
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of money. So, as I've said previously, is like we're working to pay bills.
Mm-hmm.
And until you hear somebody saying how much the pressure is, people don't understand. And a lot of people are currently in this position. They're feeling the weight and they're not seeing opportunities for it to lift off of them.
Yes, yes, yes. And Shaquani, as I think Dave wrote there, and that's what how I felt today. Dave and I were talking about this young man, and we said we can't just give him a fish. We need to enable him to fish. We can't just give him a fish. We need to enable him to fish. And that we because we want to move people away from that kind of thinking that somebody have to give you a bag of grocery all the time. But when it is that you now have a weed whacker, you can now go out as a man, and you can make some money. He can take care of his mother, and he has a child as well, not living with him, but he has a child.
Yeah.
He doesn't have time to sit down thinking about taking his life. He has work to do. And that's what you have done. And that's what I mean. And if you're doing this, I am just thinking, what are you doing in your constituency? I mean, if you could be doing this to this young man that is not in your constituency, it just crossed my mind. You didn't tell me to come on here to promote you and your work
No,
in your constituency. I'm just thinking.
I
Um,
do have the reason that it came to mind because as I was canvassing in my constituency, I found a lot of younger people in a similar position to him who were in the landscaping contracts with the government and are currently still there.
mhm,
And I developed this program with my team. So what we did was we purchased some weed whackers and they would, I don't want to say rent because there's no cost. They come to the location that they know they're at. They just sign them out and then they bring them back in on the evening.
mhm,
Because we have so many people who need them at this time, we can't individually purchase for every single person. But for persons who have extra time, who would need assistance, who need access to one, they can do that.
mhm, mhm.
And
So
with that,
you have a system already set up in your constituency.
yeah, this program is active already.
Wow, wow. Okay. Listen to me. Listen to me. This is what we're looking for. And a lot of times, as I said to the to Stephanie, who was independent in the last uh by election, a lot of times, these are things that are started before you guys, you get into parliament, become an MP. And once you become an MP, a lot of people drop these things, but you realize, Shaquani, walking your constituency, you can hear the cries of the people, and how devastating it is to them to start to, they've given their vote and the MP is going to represent them and so on, and they're not looking for handouts.
No, you'll be surprised. A lot of them don't want handouts. They want opportunities. They want to know about additional schooling opportunities. They want to know about how they can take the business to the next level. Some of them, just as you said, like they have jobs already, but the jobs aren't meeting the ends. And why I found a lot of parents want a better future for their children. Even the guys on the blocks, they are probably the most amazing, kindest people you will ever meet in constituency. They always telling you, like, I want a better future for my children. Like if you drop off the weed whacker here, we'll get the lawn cut for you, cut the grass, don't worry about it. Just drop them off. Because
Mm.
they're not
What's
working,
the
they can't
name of your
afford to do that.
constituency? I
I'm
don't
St.
know
Michael
all of this.
West.
St. Michael West. So what are the areas? What are those communities in that
Okay,
area?
so you got Hinesbury, you got Westbury, you have like Passage Road area. So it's slightly big.
Mm-hmm.
But
Wow.
it's
So
all
Westbury,
yes.
Hinesbury, Westbury, Passage. You said Passage Road?
Well, yes, I'm on the side. I'm a piece of Passage Road as well. So I meet
Okay. Not
the
that I know where that is, but I know where
that
Westbury
is,
is.
you know where Pizza Man dot is, we're in town.
In town, yeah.
Yes, right. Right there. So I'm on the right hand side, closer to the pastor.
Oh,
Right,
Hinesbury,
for the puppy
Westbury, and
mill.
Passage Road.
Right. So that's
Okay.
like a good circle. So then they have it's also like Eagle Hall and Richmond.
Mm-hmm. And all of that. Well,
Yeah.
thank oh my I'm on listen, thank you, Matthew B, for reminding me about the calls. I'm getting so caught up in this conversation, and I've made so many mistakes today. I have to tell the viewers, because I was on the road trying to be, trying to do the work of the loyal opposition all on the road today.
Do
And
everything.
I rushed in and quickly put the show together. I forgot Theory is supposed to be on here. So Theory, he knows I love him. Theory, I am sorry. I did not return the call to Marcia. I didn't even reach out to Rose Carbon. They're going to kill me, but they know I love them. So it was a great day, but a tough one, a tough day. And so here am I forgetting the call in section of the program. But while I get that up and going, how are you managing in your constituency with back to school supplies and so on? What are you hearing on the ground as people get ready to call? Folks, get ready to call. Go ahead, Shaquani.
It is extremely hard. It is difficult. I'm getting calls constantly every single day. So what my team and I we decided to do, we said we have to find a way to help. So we went on, we purchased some backpacks. We did have some individual families who would have indicated they needed a little bit more than that. So they needed some exercise books, some pencils, some shoes, and we did assist those persons with that. But what we did was we catered to persons who were around maybe like 4 to 6, and we got around like 20 backpacks. This is just the start. I know we this is not enough to help the amount of calls we got, but
No,
this is
that's
just the
not
start.
enough. That's only 20. So you're going
Only
to distribute those tomorrow.
yes.
Wow, but you're gonna need some more, and here it is. I mean, I know you would want to take up some of that money to buy some backpack, but you went and you helped this young man. You did like what I did today. Take from one place to help because it's an immediate need. To help this young man to lift his spirit with this weed
Yes.
walker. But you only have 20 bags.
Yes, only. Only.
Wow. If anybody out there and you have any back to school supplies that you want to donate, you want to reach out to Shaquani so she can help the people in our constituency. Tonight's show has not gone the way that I had planned it at all. This is so heartfelt, and the other one, we listen, man, we were going at them, but this one we are taking care of the people. That's the thing with the Marcia Week show. We educate, we motivate, we mobilize, we agitate. And we're mobilizing today, we're motivating today, we're educating. So, folks, if you want to help Shaquani with her project in her constituency, please reach out to her. Shaquani, what's your number?
8238946.
823-8946. All right. Dave is going to help me. 823 eight nine
8946.
46. Okay. That's Shaquani's number, and you can reach out to her if you want to help her in her constituency. You can tell she does a lot of work in there to help the young people, etc. The young people, the children, in the constituency. Please help. And I'm still waiting on people to call, but there is I need to register this,
Mhm,
that I have gotten a call, a very interesting call. Shakwani, you are the spokesperson on youth in your party, and this call is coming from a young person who worked for Carifesto.
mhm. Yes.
Yeah, they work for Carifesto, and I'm looking for the call here for the message here. But what I'm being told is that they're getting a runaround. They're getting runaround concerning their pay.
Marcia.
They are getting a runaround, and they're about, I think he says, why am I, if you're listening, young person, I can't call your name because I don't want you to be victimized. I don't know why I'm seeing your name here, but when I check the message, unless the message disappear, they have those.
Yeah, the disappearing messages.
um uh,
Marcia.
people, but let me just tell
Mhm.
the people what happened, folks. I need you, and those of you who are watching from the government, there are these young people, and I'm hearing that it's about 300 young persons who have not yet been paid. They were told that would have been paid today. They're not yet paid with the amount of money that was used, Shaquani, in Carifesta. That was, you know, please, please, people. I think that these young people should have been paid already, or not given the run around, not telling them go back to the person who employed you. This is what they said that they're hearing when they called the NCF. But go ahead, Shaquani.
Marcia, you're hearing a lot more stories like this, and I think the government needs to be more mindful and careful when they hire people to work for them for these national events. If their budgets to retrofit car parks, if their budgets to build amphitheaters, if their budgets to bring in artists, there must be budgets to pay staff. You have to
Mhm.
remember that people are living paycheck to paycheck, and sometimes to get to these facilities, they're taking up their last. So when you tell somebody they're going to be paid Friday and Monday school is starting, and
Mhm.
Friday they call for their money and they don't hear anything, they don't see anybody, you're telling them go back to who hired them. They're
Mhm.
clearly calling you because the person who hired them don't have the funds either. So that means that you are not considering that these people do not know what to do and they cannot do anything else. You know what is usually due on Friday? Rent,
Mm.
supermarket. Children are usually home on the weekend. What are they supposed to tell their children when they look in their faces? What are these young people supposed to do? School starting Monday. So some of these may be like 18, 17, going to BCC, going into UE, hoping that this money that they worked for Carry Festa, they can now get some new school clothes, pay for book fees, pay something to assist them, get bus fare. What are they supposed to do? They just can't look in your face and then you're telling them go back to who hired them. They're calling you for a reason. And this is not the only set of young people. Our people complain that they're not being paid by the government and they're giving the runaround. We've also heard
Correct.
of persons who worked at the summer camps, the national summer camps, 5 weeks of work and they aren't paid as yet. They don't know when they will be paid, and that's over 200 people. So imagine 300 plus 200, that's 500 people complaining that they're
Young people, young
young
people.
people, but most of them are young people not being paid. And they were wondering why crime is rising, why people are stealing rotis and sweet milk and powder, powder milk for their children. People literally cannot afford the basics to survive. We need to do better. If you can budget to bring in people, you can budget to fly on your plane, you can find money to do another football competition, you can find money to pay people. These people cannot wait any longer. And when you tell somebody you're going to pay them on a Friday, you know what happens? When you don't pay them at 2:30, the banks are already closed at 2. That means that
Mhm.
even if you pay them by check, they couldn't change it. That means they have to go to a store that maybe can assist them. They didn't get any money, so that means they have to wait Saturday, Sunday, back on Monday. What are they supposed to do? We're talking about schools being closed, a lot of schools being closed, but we're not talking about these people can't send their children to school or go to school because they can't afford to. I had a person reach out to me who worked at the summer camp who told me their whole household can't go to school. They were relying on that money to send to school the children. They had to get some additional things and they can't make it without it. And for some people, it may not seem like a lot of money, but for people who don't have and who are living one opportunity to the next opportunity, when they do something, you need to have their money as soon as possible or give them a means to get it. Don't make it difficult. Don't make it seem like you didn't hire them and halfway through it tell them that, oh, they're volunteers. No. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. The government needs to stop asking young people to volunteer. How can you ask a person to volunteer where bus fare is $3.50? You're asking them to volunteer where the basic meal, if they're purchasing it, is around $20. And then when they go to some of these activities, you're not even providing the basics like water or food that they can eat while they're there. So that means that they have to purchase something on their own while they're working at some of these activities. We need to do better. When we organize activities, like you said about the march, you're providing water to the persons who are giving of their time. So imagine you worked 5 weeks and you're hoping now and praying, okay, this is the moment I'm getting my money. No money. No answer to when the money will come. Nobody knows how it's gonna work out. Nobody can answer the questions. The only body that can answer the questions will have to be the minister. It cannot be the staff working in within the ministry because they're not the persons releasing the funds. They don't know either. So we need to do better. How were we able to put down a car park in a matter of days? Where did we find the money to do that? But now it's time to pay people. You can't find me 500 people because Marcia said two, and then I said, no, Marcia said three, and I said two. So
Three.
that's 500 people in total who are calling Ministry of Youth and CF for their funds and they want to know where the money is, when it will be coming in. It is not good enough.
Yeah, he said this one guy says he worked putting up a tent and so on. And what they have to understand, I see Apostle Scanterbury is here as well. Let me put him in the studio just after this comment. What they have to understand, if think about viewers and Shaquani, think about if you had a young man like the one that sent the voice note where he doesn't have any food to eat, went out to work at the summer camp or at Carrie Festival, did all this work and expect to be paid, right? And now they're giving them the runaround. I mean, can you imagine how, as you said, families are waiting on that money, and how that person must feel, and that's why. This person has been messaging me from last night because you might say, I said to him, give them until today. I said to him, give them until today. They said today, but he's nervous about getting the money because it is everybody knows you when you work for government, they're going to take a long time before they pay you, months. Right now, even the police who worked in COVID, the prison officers, the nurses, they have not been paid their hazard pay, but they have money and they're just like almost throwing it away. I mean, the prime
Yes.
minister is right now. I'm seeing she's in some African country giving a speech. We just saw her giving a press conference in Barbados. She's in an African country. That means she would have taken it can't be a regular plane.
I don't know. I know the last time I traveled to that side of the world, it took me almost 20 something hours to get there. So I don't know what she's traveling on.
Paying for this trip. Shaquani, your thoughts?
When a person does not know what it's like to be without, they do whatever they feel like because they don't know what it's like to not have. They don't know what it's like to open their cupboards and not see anything and don't know how they're going to make a meal from nothing. They don't know what it's like to not be able to find bus fare to catch the bus or have to use an alternative route like walking because they don't have, so they have to find a way to get there. Because our prime minister never had that, most of her ministers never had that or will never experience that. They don't understand that some of these decisions they make impact people who experience this every single day currently. And with that, they can make decisions to say, oh, they could get paid on Monday or they can get paid next week and it wouldn't impact them. No, they cannot because they can't afford to. We keep asking why crime is rising, why so many young people are, we're seeing day after day, we're seeing them getting signed up to DODs. We're creating these scenarios for them to do this. We're not giving them opportunities to one, make money that is sustainable. And then two, when you give them the opportunities, you have to pay them. You imagine where I don't even understand where these summer camp workers were working 5 weeks and not being paid weekly because
Right.
that's almost a month. Was working a month for free. How did they get to work? What did they eat at work? And it's not like the camps don't have a lot of children. These national summer camps have a lot of children per counselor. So with that, they're in a stressful environment every single day, looking at, I guess, looking at the hands, as the older persons would say, twiddling the thumbs because they don't know what to do. You imagine a younger person working for 5 weeks, and then at the end of the 5 weeks, you're expecting payment. Your parents are expecting you to have payment because you promised you would do something at home, and now they're on you. You're on the government, and you don't know what to do. You don't know how to explain to them that the government has not paid me yet. And that in itself is causing additional conflict at home.
Them.
What I will say is that we do have an alternative, and yes, you do not have to vote for them. No, they will not know that you did not vote for them because they can't tell. A lot of people, when you ask them and they tell you about the process about voting afterwards, they're like, I thought they can tell if I voted for them or not, and I had no choice but to. A lot of people say that they're not aware that they can't tell because it's anonymous. So the
Mm-hmm.
fear of being found out that you didn't support them, the
Mm-hmm.
fear of that stops people from even considering. Some people stay home because they're too afraid to even go into the
Mm-hmm.
room. Right now in Barbados, we have so much fear. People are afraid to speak out. They're afraid to talk out. They're afraid to do videos because they're afraid of losing what they have, and it's so little
Mm-hmm.
already. Imagine taking zero from zero. That is how Barbadians are feeling right now. Like the pressure and the weight of the world is on them with no relief. And I want them to know that there is an option. They can vote for the Democratic Labour Party, and we are here to assist. We can only do so much because we're not in government. We do not have government resources. We do not. We do not have the subvention. We did not get that. So with that, we're working with ourselves, we're working with our team, and we're working with the public to assist others who need more than we need. Because I can't say that we don't need to. Because sometimes persons assisting also need, but they have some extra.
Mm-hmm.
I told somebody almost 10 years ago, I used to work for $300 when the week came. And I have some people who work for that currently. And I remember that was one of my first jobs. So you imagine
Mm-hmm.
that back then bus fare had now gone up to $2. You imagine working for $300 now with bus fare at 350, and all the things I budgeted back then as a young person now coming into the workforce. I cannot imagine doing that in this time right now with 350 as bus fare. Then the supermarket is more expensive. $100 almost 10 years ago was a lot of groceries. $100 now is like 5 items in the supermarket. So when things are getting extremely difficult every single day, everything is going up. Water is going up, electricity is going up, bills are going up. What are we asking the public to do? The only thing that is not going up is the money. The money to do all of these things. I earlier you guys were speaking about school clothes. A school pant is like $72 for secondary school children. Persons are going back to the days when they could only afford to purchase two pants and a couple shirts, and then the children have to come home and wash on the evening. We're back to the society where your children, parents can't afford to buy five shirts and five pants anymore. They're going back to two pants, maybe three shirts. You're gonna come home, you can sew them Monday shirt so you can wear it on Thursday. And it's not that they aren't working hard, they aren't getting paid, is that things are expensive. There's no relief. As Apostle said earlier, that $300 would have been great. No, I saw parents saying online the $100 they promised them last year for back to school for assistance that they registered for, they haven't received, and they sent out the link this year so they can register again. School
Mm-hmm.
bus for primary school children are running into almost $400. You imagine if you have five children in primary school? And I don't want to hear the minister saying, I didn't say to get children. Yes, you did. You're asking the public to get more children because the birth rate is down. So you are.
It's true. It's
You
true.
are. Every single video, they're saying it constantly. And with that, you need to give assistance. You need to give real assistance, assistance that is sustainable. What is $100 to assist parents are really supposed to do? That is one pants. That might not even be a good pair of shoes because parents may spend a little bit more on shoes and buy so they can last longer. Or they may be able to pass it on to the next show underneath. That is how parents are shopping now. And I don't want people to say, oh, I saw this parent at crop over time. That is crop over time. She may have budgeted for that. That costume may have been free. Don't base it based on what you saw the parent doing. Think about if she's asking now something has changed. Maybe she lost her job. Maybe finances changed. But if you're thinking about it, a person has 5 children, you have to buy school clothes for every single child. Maybe at
I
least
don't know
one.
how they manage.
They're not managing. And then the children have to go to school and get school meals because they can't afford anything else. Even at secondary school, some children may have to get school meals at secondary school now. More. It is extremely difficult and these times are hard and there's no relief. And this is not the voice that you played earlier. He is not the only person I heard calling ministers, calling the constituency offices, submitting messages, and no response, no replies, nothing. They're going to the government institutions, nothing. When I send somebody to get assistance at a government institution, you know what I do before I even send them? I call ahead to find out what is the process, what is the wait time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I follow up because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it is about knowing all the right steps to take before you even give the information because they don't know. And if you do business in Barbados, you know how difficult and exhausting it could be when you call in multiple offices, you don't have a landline at home, so you're using your credit. A lot of these
Yeah.
persons have landlines. So they're using their credit or they may be borrowing a phone call. So they don't have time to be on the phone for 45 minutes. I remember I called a government department and I told the lady, I'm so impressed you answered the phone. Like, I want to applaud you and your boss, let them know that this is excellent. This is the first time I called a unit like this and the
Yeah.
call was answered within 2 minutes.
Yeah.